Thank you very much. I have with me here the other members of the executive, and okay, video please. Yes, they're missing the video is what online participation says. Okay, looks like the stream is off for a moment. We'll be back soon. Please bear with us. It's like, as I was saying, we've got 6 other members of the Executive Council here with me from Uyo in Akwa Ibom State. We have Prince Inyobong Eka. So that's your Vice President. Thank you very much. We have Malam Awal Tata from Kano. We have Mr. Caleb. Oh, sorry. Caleb Muiwa Kundele from Ibadan, Oyo State. We have Bukola Fawole Oronti, which is from Oyo State as well. I don't know what you people did. We have, where are you now? Mary Jane Sule from Plateau State. Yes, right there. We have, who have I left out? The man in the white. The man in the white hat. Are. I don't know who made him Are. Are local content or something like that. Akimbo Adebumi Adeola. Cornerstone, they say. Right. And so have I listed 7 people? So that's all of us, the executive. The Internet Society has been around in Nigeria for quite a bit. This year will make it 20 years, but it's what it is. For some of us, we've not had the level of exposure to the Internet Society as would have been expected of a country like Nigeria. But thanks to everybody, you all woke up and decided that you want to take the Internet Society Nigeria chapter where it should be. And that is at the forefront of advocacy for internet, an internet that is open, accessible, reliable, trustworthy. And that's the primary thing that all the activities that we will be doing in this, or that we will be having in this chapter, are hinged upon, even though you now have extensions into the digital rights, security, access, very importantly, access, affordability, and things like that. So we're using this opportunity to get ourselves together. That some people have thought over the years that the Internet Society is only for engineers, internet protocol, geeks, but that's not the case. The internet, as we say, is for everyone. So the Internet Society is for everyone. A society where we get together, or we come together to discuss the protocol parts, the standards part, as well as how it becomes useful to us as human beings. It goes beyond the connectivity, the web portals and things like that, but human life is at the center of the internet now. It's no longer just a random tool that you would pick up to do something and then continue with your life. Now you're disconnected from the internet, you start having withdrawal symptoms, what's going on, what's happening in the world. We rely so much on it. And we don't know where it will be tomorrow. We don't know. We know today that we rely on it so much. but we don't know what exactly we would rely on it for tomorrow. And the best that we can do is make choices in how we want that internet that we see today. What paths do we want to follow? There's good in the world, just as there is evil in the world. And so I would think, and I guess most of you would think, that it's better to go along the lines that guides the future, that guides us to a future that is desirable. Now, you would hear during the course of the next 3.5 hours that would be here, you would hear different sides of this, different perspectives to what the internet should be, how the internet should affect the lives. You'd hear somebody say, oh, I should be free to speak this way or that way. And you'd hear the man who is charged with maintaining law and order also saying, but your speech should not push people to do this or that, so that my job of maintaining, keeping lives and property secure is not made more difficult. But by sitting together, by convening like this, now this is not just a meeting for today, but this is for us to continually engage with ourselves in our different spheres where the internet affects us differently, to make policies and to help people learn how to behave properly, we should call it, on the internet. I will hand over the microphone to, I'm not able to load my agenda page, sorry, but I'll hand over the microphone to Mary Jane in a moment so that she can walk us through the program. I believe something. Remote, is your video back? Okay, so, okay, thanks for the confirmation. They asked for a few minutes to sort that out. We will work with audio a little more. We'll delay, say, 5 minutes? Okay, they say five minutes. So in 5 minutes, what's the point in looking at the camera? You can't even see me. In 5 minutes, you would have video feed. Apologies for that. Thank you, Mary Jane.
Good morning, all. Thank you for coming. Thank you for honoring us. It would have been a shame if it's just 7 of us here and we don't even have your presence. So we want to say thank you. And to that effect, please, for those sitting up, yes, if you could come down, please, so we fill up the lower seats. Thank you. Would like to okay. All of you are very important, as I have said earlier, but we would like to acknowledge some people present here. First is Dr. Abubakar Dahiru, Head Special Duties representing the DG NITDA. Dr. Abubakar Dahiru. And then we have Commodore Casey Ajayi. He's the Director of Cybersecurity, Defense Space Administration. You're welcome, sir. He's representing the Chief of Defense Staff. We also have the NCC EBC representative here, Olatokunbo Oyele. You're welcome, ma'am. Pardon me for the pronunciation, please. Dr. Papu Honda, who is representing the NCS president. You're welcome, sir. Mr. Mani Emecheta, representing CPN president. You're welcome, sir. And all other guests present, you're welcome again. Okay, we intend to be here for just approximately 4 hours, give or take, and we will have some panelists discuss some topics on internet, and the CEO of ISOC Global will also be here with us remotely, Cathy Brown, and we hope that she will also explain to us in detail what ISOC Global does. And I think we'll just move into the next activity. I know we have quite a number of guests that we need to acknowledge, so as the program goes on, I'll acknowledge you, please. Thank you. We're going to follow the agenda, which will start with, after the introduction, the Reverend Sunday Folayong, who we popularly call Oku SF, will be talking on the Nigerian internet ecosystem. And Chief Masari will talk about the origins of the Internet Society Nigerian chapter. It's been in existence since 1995, but I'm sure that some of us have never heard about it till now or the last few years. So Chief Masari will say something about the origins. And then we'll have the inauguration of the chapter executive. And our president, Dewale Ajawo, will be talking about global internet. We'll have a report on global internet. And Awal Tata, the Secretary General, will be talking about Nigeria Joint Action Strategy. And then from there, we go into the panel discussion. And hopefully, Cathy Brown, the CEO, ISOC CEO, should be joining us at about 1. And she'll run through the program with us till about 2. And with her presentation, we'll go into the open mic session and close the activity. Thank you. it's always a good thing to have your elders around. They direct you appropriately. And at this moment, please, we would like to give some few minutes to our guest. We would like to start with the representative of the DG, NIDA, to give us some goodwill messages from their organization. So, Dr. Dahiru. Are we cold? I know. Do we want to stretch? Do we want to do some exercise?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Reverend Folen, good morning. Ajab Karim, Abdul Hakim Antijiola, and representatives of CPN and NCS presidents. May peace, mercy, and blessings be upon you all. I will start with apologizing on behalf of the DG. You would have been here, but you also sent in the invitation a bit late, and some other commitments have already been made for this day, so he's not able to be here physically with you all. I have a speech from him that I'm going to quickly read as a goodwill message for the relaunch of the Nigerian chapter of the Internet Society. We are all aware that it is a local multi-stakeholder advisory group for the NIGF, also responsible for the growth, development, and use of the Internet. The NITDA, National Information Technology Development Agency, as you may also all be aware, is charged with the responsibility of developing and regulating the IT sector in Nigeria, and thus support stakeholders that are willing to collaborate and contribute towards the development of the sector. As I stated during the NIGF event in Kaduna last July, we have built a strong partnership with our stakeholders and together have contributed immensely to ICT advocacy in Nigeria, not only the Internet. We look forward to stronger relations that will impact positively to information technology use, especially as it relates to sustainable development of our dear nation. Let me mention some steps as a development agency we have taken in terms of the Internet, connecting the unconnected, like we like to say. Firstly, like other development agencies, we subscribe to the view that development doesn't just happen on its own. It's not an unintentional process, but as an intentional activity targeted at enhancing the capabilities of people in order that they have real opportunities to do and be what they have reason to value. We are concerned with the contribution of ICT as well to socio-economic development. Needless to emphasize, we strongly believe that the Internet technology provides a lot of opportunities and veritable options for development to take place or be achieved. We're also confident that technology serves as a key enabler of all other sectors, as we are all aware. John Doe, the venture capitalist, once predicted that the Internet would lead to the largest legal creation of wealth. Look at what is going on with the blockchain technology, for instance. However, a recent Pew research has shown that about 80% of the world population are not connected. 4.3 billion to be precise. That is to say, for every Internet user, there are 2 people who do not use the Internet, predominantly at the rural, low-income areas and women. So what are we doing to connect the unconnected to the Internet for development? The National Information Technology Development Agency for the past 1 year have focused on 7 key areas in terms of regulation, capacity building, promoting government digital services, digital job creation, local content development, and digital inclusion. Capacity building, if you consider ICT literacy as a capability, and digital inclusion relates directly to the activities of the ISOC, Internet Society. Similarly, all the other priority areas also play important roles in supporting development and empowerment of not only the unconnected, but the entire citizen. So we have, over the years, done rural IT centers in communities and schools and tertiary institutions. In rural areas, we have done digital capacity building centers. In the last quarter of 2016, about 86 digital capacity building centers in communities. We are also currently doing digital job creation centers. We are going to do about another 80 for this phase of the 2017 year. Running into 2018. As we speak as well, we're doing the wide area network and the digital library, just so that we can connect communities with, educators all over the world and e-learning facilities that would, include the excluded that are, as the research has shown, living in rural areas. There is also the National E-Agriculture Project, leveraging on existing emerging technologies to connect unconnected farmers in the rural areas. The agency, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, came up with the E-Agriculture Project as a strategic initiative at making the various data sets of the Nigerian agricultural sector readily available for stakeholders. I already mentioned the virtual libraries and the ones. There is the aspect of regulation as well, because as much as we can support the implementation of interventions that connects people with the internet, the greatest impact of the agency would be in the area of creating appropriate regulations and standards and guidelines for the use of information technology in the country. For instance, towards the promotion of transparency and efficiency, the agency is facilitating compliance as it relates to the use of ICT by ministries, departments, and agencies for efficient service delivery, and pursuing the adoption of open data policy to increase access to relevant information to the citizenry for making informed current and future decisions. To shape a better tomorrow, I say, we must anticipate the future and recognize the opportunities and trends that will affect us. So with these few words, I wish you all a very successful relaunch of the Internet Society. By this event, the society, we hope, will be on its toes at implementing their 2018 strategic plan for the country. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Dahiru. You sure do have collaborators with ISOC in building the sector. So I think from here we'll move on to what area we'll want to collaborate with you. Thank you so much. And the next person we'll be calling on is the representative of the EBC, NCC.
I can see we have more men, but I will still say good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm representing the Executive Vice Chairman of Nigerian Communications Commission. All protocols observed. Your invitation to me as a special guest to this noble event is highly appreciated. Since the inception of the Commission, as a stakeholder, has always been part of ISOC. We have a number of staff of the Commission as member of ISOC. I'm going to try not to repeat what has been said. ISOC was formed, I think, 1992, and we have members, a number of persons with long-standing association with the IETF, that's the Internet Engineering Task Force, primarily providing support for the internet development, particularly in standards, process, education, and research. With the population of Nigeria, Nigeria being one of the top 20 countries with the highest number of internet users in the world, according to the Internet World Statistic, we shouldn't be an exception in engaging and building a viable community to move internet to the next level. We acknowledge the efforts of ISOC, particularly in the areas of policy development, community capacity building, and internet infrastructure. No nation can grow its digital economy without proper investment in internet infrastructure, as well as enlightening its users about the pros and cons of the global network and youth empowerment. The Commission, consistent with its mandate as a regulator, addresses relevant internet challenges in Nigeria. NCC actively participates and contributes in internet governance events, which include national, sub-regional, regional, and global fora. For that reason, the Commission believes in the multi-stakeholder approach on matters that are relevant to taking the internet development to apex level. At this point, I would like to point out that NCC is actually working on a Nigerian Internet Code of Practice for the telecoms industry and to ensure proper internet governance. So, amongst other planned working documents, at this point, we would also like to invite the ISOC to please look at the NCC website, look at the document, the draft document on the Internet Code of Practice, and also make relevant contribution. These documents will be available and inputs will be received till February 9th, 2018. I want to also use this opportunity to congratulate the newly elected leadership and ISOC members for a successful election in 2017. In this regard, I'm urging the new leadership to put in their best to champion the development of internet in Nigeria that can compete with our colleagues in other nations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ma. Our hope and our desire is that we should be able to compete with other nations in the nearest future as soon as possible. We'll also want to acknowledge some guests among us. Dr. Louis Nelson, who is the founding member of ISOC Nigeria and ISOC Global, and a retired permanent secretary of the federal government of Nigeria. I think the clap is not so loud enough for him. Because when I saw him coming in, I said to somebody, this is an encouragement. He's coming in with his working state, quite old, but he wants to push the association further. So I think we should clap for him again. I also want to acknowledge one of our very own too, Abdul Hakim Ajijola from Global Commission for the Stability of Cyberspace. You're welcome, sir. And I think now it's Uncle SF's call.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I bring you good greetings from the Nigerian Internet Registration Association, where, by the grace of God, I am president for another 24 calendar months. It's the organization charged with the management of the Nigerian top-level domain the .ngccTLD. And being a national resource which belongs to all Nigerians, it should be managed in a very prudent way that would go a long way to satisfy the yearnings and aspirations of all Nigerians, because the internet is borderless and should enable the next set of businesses and ventures that would go a long way to enable economic prosperity for all. NIRA is very happy that ISOC Global is coming back, not only coming back, but coming back very, very strong. And I am indeed very excited that the cream of leaders we have, the 7 young men and women who would lead ISOC to the next level, permit me to say, are all my children. Perhaps the only person I am meeting here for the first time today is the Vice President of ISOC, but probably every other member of the executive at one point or the other in the development of the internet in Nigeria, we have sat somewhere and eaten eba and egusi with goat meat or with fresh fish. But let me say without mincing words that this group of young men and women are very, very focused, very, very knowledgeable, very, very determined, and indeed, I'll put it on record today, watch out for them. They will make waves in Nigeria. Nigeria is a place where when you don't talk about yourself, you are not respected. People want to know that how much is in your bank account before you can say this. If you don't have any currency to back what you are saying, we say you are just making noise. So permit me to say that some of us have been at the forefront of ensuring that the internet takes root in Nigeria. And it's gratifying that those efforts we made in years past, in our 20s, by the way, are yielding fruit now, and many more people are carrying on with that torch. And I am excited, I'm very excited that ISOC will go places. Permit me to recognize and appreciate very much this morning Chief Giodomenico Massari, my very good friend, the pioneer president of ISOC Nigeria, and by the grace of God, someone we also sat at dinner one very interesting evening here in Abuja to say, how do we bring ISOC back? Chief, I really appreciate that encounter we had that day, and I'm sure what we are enjoying this morning is as a result of those discussions we had days back. Thank you very much for your openness. Thank you very much for your commitment, and thank you for being here this morning. I like to end the goodwill aspect of my talk this morning by saying NIRA, the Nigerian Internet Registration Association, is very, very committed to assisting ISOC Nigeria get off its feet and run. As we say in the church, money is the bicycle on which the gospel rides. Without money, you can do nothing. And ISOC Nigeria, obviously, without adequate funding, may not achieve its stated objectives. Globally, it is known that every domain name registered under the .org domain is handled by the public Interest Registry, PIR, which remits all this money in full to ISOC Global. And together with other funds they make, ISOC is able to carry out its activities. NERA believes that it can also partner with ISOC Nigeria so that ISOC Nigeria would be able to have funds accruing from domain name registrations done by Nigerians to also help ISOC Nigeria get on its feet and operate as an organization. It is gratifying that the executives of ISOC and that of NERA are already discussing to see how this partnership would happen so that ISOC would be able to run efficiently. On that note, I wish everybody here the very best today, and I ask that we put in our maximum participation so that the objectives of our coming can be achieved. Thank you very much, and thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Uncle SF. True to his words, all of us are his children. And the good thing about children and parents is that when a child is having the teething problem, it's the mom or the dad that take care of them. You don't find the neighbors or friends helping. It's the mom and dad. So the good thing is we have our dad around, and as we are just starting, crawling and walking, he will be there to guide us appropriately. Thank you, sir. We'll also want to acknowledge our former president, Engineer Masari. You're welcome, sir. And we'll also want to give time now to the NCS representative for their own goodwill message. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, my friends. On behalf of Nigerian Computer Society, would like to congratulate ourselves and then congratulate you too for being part of this event that is bringing a very organization to our country. Now, just thinking about it, there are so many bodies nowadays coming up, mushrooming, and trying to just put the head in the sky. And I've just seen one or two leaflets now, but that's various bodies. I think the tendency we have in our country just to proliferate and proliferate, and it doesn't help us at all. Nigerian Computer Society, umbrella body, but we also know that there are so many interest groups that are coming up now, we cannot really stop it, absolutely. And, but we must still have to organize. If we are trying to just operate in silos, for whatever reason, it's not very helpful to our system, even to our cause. So what will be our challenge? This society is a very, very, very preeminent in the position because of the resource, because of the control of our lives that internet has become. This, to me, is one of the primary groups that should be encouraged to thrive, to function. We just have no choice. It now depends on you. Do you want to be like any of those other small ones coming up? or you want to be really very effective in mobilizing ourselves. We are so few in this all. I wonder in this our country, where we have serious issues, even the youth, they just grumble and complain. They won't come. If there's some bottom shaking event coming here now, then they all be filled up. It's so disheartening, honestly. Before being sent here as a celebrity, I registered on my own early last year. I just saw it on the internet. We don't know, I don't know where the values are in the society. What we really want to do with ourselves. I just can't understand why this all should not be filled up at the mere mention of internet society. And we have our phones. Anyway, we buy expensive phone. We don't even use it. Only on Facebook. We are not doing serious work. You know, so you have a challenge, therefore. The harvest is plenty, as we say in the Bible too, like the pastor was saying, trying to allude to the Bible. A lot of work to be done. We have to move this society forward. And I know my president and the executive, they are very, very happy with this initiative. But don't try to be like all other ones, to say you want to be on your own. Networking, collaboration, working together. Every members are in the NCS. You need us, and we need you. Good morning, everybody.
Thank you very much, sir. At this, we would like to call on Engineer Masari to come and give his own talk. It may interest you to know that he's also a chief of River State. So that's why you hear the Chief Masari. So he's going to talk about the origins of the Internet Society, Nigerian chapter.
Good morning to everybody. Okay, told me I'm Engineer Massari. I'm Nigerian. I'm naturalized Nigeria for many, many years. I'm 26 years I'm in Nigeria. Yes, I'm chief, exactly, let's say, to be precise, I'm triple chief. South-South. Inquiry and everything. Just to do it. But I'm an engineer, first and foremost. I'm even a cyclist, let me tell you, I am a cyclist. Maybe sport is important even in the life. And anyway, let me tell how has muted this Internet Society Nigerian chapter many, many years ago. We were a group of people where it was one late professor, T.C. Nuoto, that he died in 2005, he was one of the major professors in the country on electrical electronics. He has even taught to so many people. In fact, one of the pioneers, let's say, on that discipline. And they have started a program in PhD in engineering. And it was in River State, University of Science and Technology. And eventually they have to, that is even why it has been started. It has been, that time, a need to have very updated textbooks. If you go to the library or the university, even the Uniport, that is not a university we have in Port Harcourt, you have seen that nothing was there in terms of updated, you know, up-to-date material to carry out this type of their research. And the PhD has to be done, has been pioneering this type of things, has to be even very good and vibrant. Eventually what has happened that somebody told to the professor, and eventually they come to me, the two students that they were doing that course, because at that time I am one of the very few, if it's not, that have internet connectivity dial-up. So they come and they say, it's possible to do some things to find updated text of this. Eventually, we connected, tried to search. At that time, I'm talking 98, 97 even, 97. It was even very hard. You know, the first node in Nigeria was in 1994 in Yabatek. So, but even Port Harcourt was even keep outside of this. He has a dial-up and it was very difficult. But eventually, no matter what the difficulty, we were able to connect with some universities, particularly one University of Waterloo in Canada. And there was one Professor Kaziram, that he was a specialist in the world of electrical engineering, that eventually was ready to pass some books. And it was extraordinary, the result we achieved that time, even if you think the time we did this. So at that point we said, why we not try to make sure that others can benefit this? We spread this. That was the idea. And eventually was contacted ISOC. We make an application. Other people in the university, Uniport, and other university on that area, southeast, south-south, they joined. And eventually, after a few months, we were able to be registered, chartered by ISOC. At the same time, we started the process to be registered at NGO. You imagine that the day we have, in fact, is in the certificate that the president has, you know, the day we have been registered, it was 8 June 1998. Remember anything? Anybody has this date? Nobody remember what is in Nigeria, 8 June 1998? The day Abacha died. When the day they give you us the certificate, you imagine. Anyway, from there we started. You know, one of the most things is this, we are thinking. We have to find a way to give equipment. Because you go to university at that time, nothing was there. In Uniport, for instance, it was, the show started then NUNET, but nothing was there. No connection, even equipment. So what do we start doing? We start raising some fund for ourselves and buying equipment and start giving to university. We have, that time in several years, starting from 99 till even, we have given many computers to many universities. And we spread in all the locations in the country. Not only computer, system, training, and we have given free of charge all donation, and even VSAT. At that time it was VSAT, and eventually some other technology that has been come during the year has been added. UST was the first, in fact twice, Uniport, FUTO twice, ESUT, University of UNIZIC, Bori Polytechnic, NDU, again Casina University, Kaduna University, and again we went to Lagos, and particularly with the NSA. You know, I am a very active member of Nigeria Society of Engineers. I've been even twice National Vice President, and I've been chairman of ICT. In fact, there we building for Nigeria in the nation the ICT system for Nigeria Society of Engineers. And the Nigeria Society of Engineers, in many branches all over the country, is getting computer and system and internet connection. So that is the things we are thinking. We participate to several exhibitions to promote this internet, to try to find other members and other things, and the thing was growing on the year. Professor died on 2005. They let me continuously, subsequently, and eventually I was the vice president initially. I was one of the pioneers in that group we found. But when we are growing, we have some difficulties, this, that, this. For that reason, it was a time we said, let's see, Otter can continue. Because, you know, after many years you are there, you cannot carry the load always. But let me tell you that a lot of equipment has been given in donation for university, and a lot of training has been done, particularly in that time when internet was even seen as an alien in the country. Today we are in a different things. And particularly, you know, one of the group that has really benefited a lot was Nigerian Society of Engineers and Current. And the same, as far I am there. But other groups, other institutions, they have benefited all over the country. So just let me tell you. So now I know that there is this very good and vibrant group that it will continue. Now let's continue and we spread more. Unfortunately, as the past speaker has said, the presence here, according if Nigeria is 180 million inhabitants. If you have seen how internet is, when we have seen the people here, you know, you say how the things are so low turnout today. But I believe that is let's start and let's continue. But we have not to forget that, you know, virtual meetings most of the time are the one that can even attract many people. Don't forget of the common economy today, how it is, and how difficult even transporting, feeding, accommodation for many people, particularly the people that are not residing where the meeting is held. So mostly has to be encouraged and enhanced anything that is virtual, any virtual meeting, e-meeting. In NSA, we are trying even to do this for many years, and we have saved money, more secure, because even when you are moving from one place to another, you can have some problem, an accident, this, so you have, you know, prevented this, and at the same time, it will be a way even to get more people, more participation. Anyway, I know with the new leadership, things can be, you know, brought forward and even enhancing whatever has been done till today. Thank you and good work to all the new executives.
Thank you very much, sir. And I guess we'll never forget the date ISOC was registered in Nigeria. 8th June 1998, right. Thank you very much, sir, for that brief history. We'd like to call on the representative of CPN for his goodwill message, sir.
Everyone. I bring you good tidings from the President of the Computer Registration Council of Nigeria, CPN, Professor Charles Wadia. And first of all, to congratulate the new executive that will move the ISOC Nigeria forward, and to wish every participant good deliberation. The President would like to assure you of the cooperation of and support of CPN, and wish you the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. The next thing on the agenda is the Nigerian Internet Ecosystem to be delivered by Reverend Sunday Folayan, it sounds odd in my mouth because I call him Uncle SF. So, and he's also the chairman of the panel, which we'll take later. So he'll take over from here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, MJ. I have been asked to talk on the internet ecosystem and also to chair the panel that will discuss on the internet, personal freedom, security, digital economy and innovation, infrastructure, access, funding, and regulatory matters. I think it's a potpourri. And so that we will be efficient and will not spend too much time. Since I will chair the panel, maybe I should focus on the internet ecosystem while driving the panel to discuss those matters so that we will be efficient and will not waste time. So I would therefore want to, on that note, constitute the panel and request as I introduce and invite the panel members that they come up stage as we escort them with our applause. Is that okay? So permit me to invite the first member of the panel as he makes his way up stage. Kindly help me escort the Commodore K.C. Ajayi, who is representing the Chief of Defense Staff. Please keep escorting with your class. This is a big fish for ISOC. I hope you've given him membership form. If there is any membership due, I will pay. If there is any membership due, so they always say, since there is a membership due, I will pay. Or since I said I will pay, there is a membership due. All right. Please join me also to recognize and welcome to the panel the chair of the Nigeria Internet Governance Forum and my immediate past president in NIRA, Mrs. Mary Mma Uduma. You're welcome, ma'am. I'd also would like to invite to join the panel Mr. Boye Adegoke of the Paradigm Initiative International. Is he here yet? He is on his way, all right. I'd also would like to invite Mr. Lawrence Olawale, the CEO of Microbus. Lawrence is a member of the business constituency of the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, ICANN. Join me in also welcoming Mr. Mani Emecheta. You express surprise that you are called. It always happens. I think it is a slip in communication that they didn't inform you, but you are on my roster. But don't worry, I won't give you assignment that God won't help you with. And not the last, not the least, but it is the big masquerade that emerges from the groove last in our culture. Please put your hands together for the man of many hats, but one hat, Mr. Abdul Hakim Ajinjola. It has just many HATs, but just one HERT. But because of my broken tooth, you couldn't hear the difference. All right, I understand Boye is around now. Mr. Boye Adegoke. Can we please welcome him with a round of applause? So on your behalf, I'd like to welcome the panel. Let me start from this side. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. My Commodore, sir. I remain loyal, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. So the panel is constituted, and I therefore will start discussions by addressing what I was asked to talk about to start with, which is the internet ecosystem. And the easiest way to bring the internet ecosystem back to us, easily in Nigeria today, is a conversation I had with my woman that sells me boli. Who doesn't know boli here? Roasted plantain. I love it. Together with granite, it is a delicacy. So we had a conversation, and my 100 naira boli, she was going to sell to me for 200 naira. So I said, Madam, why is boli moving from 100 naira to 200? She looked at me and said, dollar don't cost. So I said, Madam, you don't import plantain. You don't import the granite. You don't even import the matches. And you don't import the charcoal. How can the price of dollars affect the price of body? And the woman looked at me again. She said, my plantain may not be imported, but for your information, I eat imported margarine when I get home. I drink imported milk. For your information, I wear atiku, and it is not a local fabric. And I wear my atiku from the profit I make from my body. You don't know it, but I go on vacation in the UK, and I have to pay hard currency. And of course, Oga, my children too, they do masters in the US. So, we might think that the basic price of Forex is of no consequence because we are locals and not foreigners. But the truth is that there is a huge interdependency. And one single imbalance in one aspect can create a domino effect in the entire economy that may be very, very difficult. When people drop out of school because they cannot study, they probably cannot earn an income. That would have a net effect on crime rate. That would have a net effect on societal support. That would have a net effect on death rates, and it will have a net effect on birth rates. All these things are tied together. So, bringing it back home, the internet ecosystem is the organizations, the aggregations of the organizations and the communities that are involved with the operation and development of the technologies and the infrastructures which make up the global internet. And if you look at development may not happen if there is no commitment, and if there is no need, if there is no demand. So again, everything is interrelated. But basically, three things have been recognized as the constituents of the things we need to look at when it comes to the internet. We have the technology, the processes, and of course, the people. In looking at the technology, we again divide that into three. There are the numbers, the names, as well as the protocols and standards. These three aggregations are again handled by different organizations and entities in the internet ecosystem. So for the protocols and standards, that is entirely the domain of the Internet Engineering Task Force, IETF, which is one of the groups that founded the Internet Society. Most of those who founded the Internet Society met in the Internet Engineering Task Force. And the Internet Engineering Task Force carries out its work in a very interesting way. They meet at least 3 times in a year. Most of the IETF meetings take place in the United States, but there are both individual and corporate participants in it. And basically the focus on how to set up standards, guidelines, and interoperability to make the internet a place that is useful for me and you. In terms of the other two constituents, which is the names and the numbers, that is handled by another entity called the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, ICANN. And ICANN tries to devolve its role into 2 broad groups. The first is its name support organization and also its address support organization. And beyond that, they now have another system for having individual internet users have a voice in the global scene, which they call the at-large system. So making 3 different sub-ecosystems: the name support organization, the address support organization, which is numbers, and the at-large structure. For the at-large structure, any group of people can be accredited to be an at-large. It is aggregated by regions. So they have the regional at-large organizations. There are at-large organizations in Americas, North America, Latin America, Africa, in Asia, and of course in Europe. Within Africa, there's so many groups that have formed regional at-large organizations. Organizations like Nurses Without Borders, they are members of the ICANN at-large structure. I believe in Nigeria, we have close to 8 or 10 individual organizations that are members of the ICANN at-large structure. In some other countries, there are national ISOCs, internet societies in those countries are members of the at-large structure. In terms of the name support, it's again broken into 2. You have the generic name support organizations, and you have the country code name support organizations. So an entity like NIRA, which manages .ng, is part of the country code name support organization. But there are other entities that are members of the generic name support organization. And then for the addresses, those are managed again on regional basis. So we have regional internet registries. For Africa, it's Afrinic. For Europe, you have RIPE, which is in French. Réseau IP Pulo European, something like that. Asia, they have APNIC, Asian Pacific NIC. For America, they have ARIN, which is the American Registry for Internet Numbers. And of course, in the Caribbeans, they have LACNIC, which is Latin American and Caribbean Network Information Center. Then the next buzz, which came up when the United Nations became interested in the internet, is the buzzword internet governance. Like our president, the internet belongs to everybody and it belongs to nobody. But because it belongs to nobody, it doesn't mean you have the right to insult anybody. And so, people would hide behind their keyboard and generate hate speech, fake news, and so many other things. Indeed, some people will so much insult you on the internet that you would think they've been alive before you were born, only for you to find out that they are not more than 21 years old. In fact, there was a day on the ISOC mailing list, somebody asked Dewale, come and remove your uncle. And he was referring to me. And I had to send a private message to him to say, no, I am not Dewale's uncle, I am his father. So at times, people can hide behind the internet to do quite a lot of things. So internet governance is the way governments have come back to say, no, 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 the internet cannot be no man's land. There has to be a way we can regulate things. There has to be a way. But for this to work, it has to be done in a way that everybody would feel comfortable. Why governments want you to pass your speech through the Minister of Information before you read it, the civil societies are saying, no, no, no. This is masking. This is stifling. You cannot regulate what we say. So, we have to sit down. We have to jaw instead of war, with apologies to Area Kimbo for borrowing that term from him. So the internet governance came into the ecosystem as a way of striking the balance. And it was introduced, as I said, by the United Nations. So now we have an annual Internet Governance Forum, IGF. To be able to participate in the IGF, people are again saying, no, 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 no. When you come here, don't just come with a view. Let us know what is happening in Africa. So Africans came together and formed the African Internet Governance Forum, AIGF. Of course, when we go to discuss to find an African position, you want to know what is the West African position. So the West Africans came together and formed the West African Internet Governance Forum. I forgot to apologize when I was introducing Mrs. Mary Uduma. I think you are the chair now of the West African Internet coordinator of the West African Internet Governance Forum. And of course, before we go to talk at the West African Forum, Nigerians get together at the Nigerian Internet Governance Forum to say, what are the issues that are key to Nigeria? Do not forget the classic, it's a joke, but it's real, where people got together to discuss what are the challenges to food security and national whatever in the world. And they asked the American, when it was his time to talk, he said, is there really food shortage? They asked the Arab man, he said, do I really have a personal opinion? I can't have a personal opinion. Government opinion is my opinion. So if you look at the world over, issues that are of challenge are not the same all over the world. So we therefore need to recognize that in the internet ecosystem, what is your problem may be the solution to another person. As a priest, I was pinched one day that my prayer was going wrong because a man bought a Volvo and I was praying that he will not carry dead body with the Volvo. And somebody pinched me that I didn't look, that it's a hearse. He actually bought it to carry dead body. So my prayer was totally off tangent. And that is a situation when we discuss internet governance. What you think is a very strong view you have that should not be, is what is welcomed by another group. But when we sit around the table, when we jaw instead of war, we can find a very, very good convenience. It is interesting now that if you go to a place like Shongai Farm, you will find out that the waste product of one biological species is the feed and input to another biological species. And life goes on because in the ecosystem, what is waste by one constituent member is food for another constituent member. And that's the way we all would continue to survive in the internet ecosystem. On that note, I believe I have done justice to the topic internet ecosystem, and we can now move straight on into the panel discussions. So my panel, I want to start first with Abdul Hakim. And the way I would want the panel to work this morning is that for every topic I introduce and ask you to tackle, please tell us as a nation where we are, what is happening, and as a nation, what should be in the first round of intervention. Then I will come back, but let us limit our interventions to 4 minutes as I go round first time. Where are we and what should be? And Abdul Hakim, I would want you to focus on hate speech and fake news. What is happening in Nigeria today and what should really be the scenario? In just 4 minutes, please.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. First of all, congratulations to the new EXCO. We have high expectations, but we also have quite a bit of confidence. And I think it's good that Uncle SF, let me call him that too, as a young man, really has brought up this issue because it's also very, very, I think, important for the new EXCO to contribute. Because building on what Dr. Faponda had said earlier, there is a need for collaboration and cooperation. So you need to understand these issues. First and foremost, I think we can work on the presumption that the issue of fake news and hate speech is out of control. Now, why is this important? I think we have to understand these whys. Basically, today, I don't need, as a country, to buy a $26 million Exocet missile and fire it at some other country. I don't need to spend hundreds of millions of dollars a day fighting another country. I just need to spend $10,000 to make sure that the right news, in this case fake news, gets to the right ears to cause the right upset. And really, the effect we have seen in the world today, this is not what what could happen. It has happened. Basically, I do not need to hack, with all due respect to the Commodore, I don't need to hack the military. I need to hack the Commander-in-Chief. And how do I hack the Commander-in-Chief? I need to hack the voter. And this, to me, is one of the underlying challenges we have with fake news and hate speech. Also, these things bring up a lot of false and fixed narratives. So that there's a lot of upset to society. And I feel that as a country, Nigeria is in the throes, in the midst of an epidemic of this fake news and hate speech. Now, there are reasons for it, and there are solutions to it. Unfortunately, the reasons are political, the reasons are economic, but I would say the most basic underlying reason is education. And therefore, the most basic underlying solution must start from education. Very, very importantly, I think as a society, we have lost our capacity for critical thinking. You get a message that says some doctor in India said, in order to deal with Ebola, you must drink salt. And you have high blood pressure. You know, come on, what's the purpose of your education? Now, there are short-term measures to deal with the issues of fake news and hate speech. However, they're very risky for society. These measures include monitoring. These measures include pulling down such hate speech. And while to many of us these sound reasonable, you have to understand the implications. Who makes those decisions? Is it some government censor that says you can or cannot say this? Is it some private sector organization that says this is too far to go? And to be very blunt, as a nation, and for me, it's a national security issue. Today, Facebook effectively, Twitter effectively censors our media. There are things you say, and of course, we want and we demand Facebook and Twitter to take them down. I'm not saying that we shouldn't, but please understand the implications. The implications are that people in Silicon Valley who have no understanding of our situation, our circumstances, our perspectives, our values, are making these decisions for us. So really, and I want to say beyond Nigeria as a nation, as a society, we really need to reinvest in that underlying education of critical thinking. Because once we can take away the market for fake news and hate speech, I believe that you will dry up the sources. Because you really cannot, and in fact, the question you should ask yourself, should you take away somebody's right to say something stupid? Should you take away somebody's right to look stupid, if that is what he or she believes? But certainly, I think you should not give them the benefit of your attention. So really, ladies and gentlemen, even though Sunday has asked me to couch this in terms of the nation, like many other things, it really boils down to you and I. Thank you.
That was done in 3 minutes. And yeah, he spoke for 3 minutes and it was well done. Thank you very much, Abdul Hakim. You have raised a very critical issue, and that is the issue of education. And we all take education as a joke, because we really take it as a joke. And I like to illustrate the challenge of taking education as a joke with a joke. There was this man traveling some years ago, and he got to a tree. He needed to rest. He sat under the tree, pulled his cap over his head, and snored off. And a monkey came down from the tree, removed his cap, and ran back up. The man saw he lost his cap to the monkey and began to throw stones at the monkey, and the monkey would dodge. Throw stone, the monkey would dodge. Eventually, an idea reached him to pretend he was wearing an imaginary cap. So he started doing EPP, hooray, EPP, hooray. And the monkey followed suit. And he finally did parade would throw all headdresses, apology to the Commodore, and threw the imaginary cap. And of course, the monkey threw his cap. So he ran, grabbed his cap, put it on his head. continued his journey. And when he got home, he gathered the entire family, told them his encounter with the monkey. Funnily, some 30 years later, his son too was traveling, got to the same tree, sat down, rested, and the monkey came down, removed his hat, and went back. And the guy remembered what his father told him. So he went, hip, 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 hooray, hip, 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 hooray. At the third one, he threw the imaginary cap. And the monkey said, idiot, you think say now only you get Baba? So, as humans taught their children, monkeys too are teaching their children. And the race is that the monkeys don't educate their children faster than we can educate our children. And that's where lies the challenge. So, Ogamani, how are we doing as a nation in terms of the digital economy and innovation? Are we playing leapfrog or are we playing catch-up? What are we doing? And what should we be doing?
Thank you very much, Chairman, the moderator. I think that we are really leapfrogging, personally, because the internet and the digital inclusiveness has been far off from us. What we are trying to do is catch up with what is already going on. And believe you me, we are really trying and going at a rate that is even unbelievable to some of us. I remember probably 20, 30 years ago, what we had were the mainframes that, in fact, for a mainframe, this particular space will not be enough to install and accommodate a mainframe. And even at that, you have to build a platform where the cables will have to go through. But right now, just like my friend said here, it is easier, it's cheaper. We can always get a laptop or even smartphones now to do what those mainframes could not do at that time. Most of the mainframes then had only about 32 bits, memory. That for you to do any meaningful programming, you had to do some kind of subroutines to accommodate what you want to do. But right now, things have grown up that the subroutines are already provided for us. It's only a question of tagging along and, what will I say, find the appropriate name to load the routine for us. So for us, I think we are moving in the right direction, but to some extent too, we are not catching up yet with the developmental rate at which digital the technology is moving, because things are evolving rapidly, almost on a daily basis. But I'll give it to us. I guess we have the skills to catch up with what is going on internationally. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that vote of confidence. And I would want to agree with you on one thing. We sometimes are children of circumstances. And in those circumstances, we excel. If you look the world over, the best medical doctors in the United States are Nigerians. If you go to Saudi Arabia, the best medical doctors there, they are Nigerians. For a long time, a lot of our pilots were landing planes without instrument landing system. Not until we made a lot of complaints, but they are skilled at doing it. And so when they get instrument landing system, they fly planes in a much more smoother way. So thank you for bringing that fact that when Nigerians have access to the things other people take for granted, we tend to excel at the things we do. Mr. Olawale, I would want to come to you now. One of the challenges of growing the internet in Nigeria is funding. So, and if you read the news very recently, I'm talking of about 2-3 days ago, you may have heard in the news that the Chinese government donated a fantastic building together with infrastructure to the African Union. And so, African Union staff who were on night duty one night just noticed that internet bandwidth shot to the roof. People don't close now. Who is using the internet? Then they went to look at their graphs and data, and they saw that the servers were being backed up to China. And it suddenly dawned on everybody that China gave them a gift, which is a Greek gift, to be able to know what they are doing. Fantastic espionage. Show me your front and look at your nyash. So Lawrence, where are we with funding the internet in Nigeria? Where should we be? What are the security implications? Wouldn't it be that he who pays the piper dictates the tune? Should the internet be free, knowing that even in Freetown, nothing is free? Can we have your perspective?
Thank you. I also want to thank ISOC for this wonderful opportunity. And I believe that this particular issue speaks to the heart of business and innovation as a whole. To start with, I will take the ending cue, should the internet be free? I will say that the reason why we've seen so much innovation, where we've seen a lot of businesses suddenly become global in nature. Today, you will agree that of the top, if you pick the top 10, top 20 global corporations, some 50% of them have a business running on the internet. And businesses have been able to thrive to this extent because of the free nature, so to say, of the internet. Where I think there is a challenge, it's the policies that are adopted to govern the use of the internet, especially within the context of our nation. Nigeria, I would say to a large extent, starting from the government side, government appears to be getting more and more open and more educated on the potentials of having to grow businesses on the internet. I say this because prior to this present administration, there have been quite a number of interventions, funds put aside and blocked to help grow businesses. Today now, I understand that if you are a youth corper, with your certificate, you can access some level of funding without collateral. We know that the CBN on its own has also created certain intervention funds. The Bank of Industries have intervention funds. We have venture capital companies beginning to grow in our little own Nigeria. But the basic issue still remains access to this block of funds. With the funding created by government, the funding base created by government, the funding base by commercial businesses, because banks are commercial businesses, there is this key issue, which is the funds are there, but you can't access them. And so accessibility is a key issue. This is one of the reasons why we always have to revert back to products created by global companies. And the global companies know what they are doing. Like Big Uncle SF said, there's no free gift. So for the Chinese who give us an equipment, for every single service that is provided by a global company, from my experience, I can say for sure that there is every tendency that they would want, in a large case, to keep turning us into a reseller's market. Nobody wants to share the knowledge. Nobody wants you to grow, to know what is happening. I stand to be disproved. But to a large extent, companies will support us being being resellers. Just keep growing their market, give you a little commission from what they are making. And yes, we know that businesses are growing on that. But then the truth is, there is a need for us as a nation to grow local content. We need to develop our own content. We need to develop whatever it is that we need to build that has some local innovation. Take pure water, for instance. It's not an IT product, but I'm sure that this is something that you will find strange in some economies, but it is a local need in Nigeria. It's a business that is thriving. When you go to every construction, it's something you'll find everywhere. And so even when using the same plane when it comes to businesses, being able to localize opportunities to a large extent will drive innovation. Now, coming back to speak, before I hand over the microphone, there is a need for policies to be put in place that will, to a large extent, help to grow business innovations. Innovations, everything about life is a risk. An innovative idea also is a risk. But we find out that the places where you can access funding from, to a large extent, don't want to put money in high-risk ventures, so to say. But then the truth is, if a Facebook or a Twitter had such a brilliant idea, but the right policies weren't put in place, they couldn't access the right funding to make this work, they won't grow into a global corporation like we have it today. And so I believe that we need, as a country, we need to put our hands, so to say, where our mouth is. Rather than locking up these funds and being used to do something else or whatever it is, the criteria for access needs to be greatly reduced, and the powers that be, so to say, need to help develop policies that will definitely grow innovation. If you give rebates, you give tax holidays to big companies, for instance, and encourage them to invest in smaller companies or smaller ideas, it will, to a large extent, spring up innovation and make cash available. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Lawrence. I really love this panel. You are addressing the issues. You are touching the heart of